Hi, welcome to 2020 Tasty Treats. We're having a lot of fun in 2020. We're going to be doing all sorts of different things this year, but at the moment we're doing 20 applique trees, and so we've actually done most of them now. We've done 19 to date, so today we're doing number 20, which is the final one in this series. So there's a diagram here of all the trees. These are all the trees except the last one, which we're about to make. There's more information on GourmetQuilter.com. If you've already registered to receive the pattern, you'll have a pattern like this. So there's a diagram up here of the finished block, and then there's the shapes that you need to trace onto the paperback fusible webbing to put onto the back of your fabric, so that you can cut them out and iron them onto your background fabric, and then we can stitch them in place. And I'm going to be free motion stitching mine. You may have a different method that you would rather use for your applique, but that's certainly what I'm doing. So it's fused raw edge applique that I'm doing with a free motion stitching. So I've gone ahead, I've traced all my shapes, I've got them all sitting on my ironing mat here. I've got my background fabric ready to go. Now this is quite a long wide tree, so I think it would be helpful if I knew where the middle was, so I'm going to finger press just a line in the background fabric. You don't want to go ironing it, you don't want a heavy line there, but it just gives me an indication of where I can put my tree trunk so that it's more or less central in the block, and I think that that's probably about right, about there. My fold line's coming through there. And then this is a relatively simple tree. It's kind of like one of those spreading cypress trees perhaps. We could get a little bit carried away with our imagination. And I'm going to position this, so I'm just going to keep an eye that I've got things roughly equal distance to the outside edge there, and that's looking pretty good. The fusible web I'm using is a steamer seam, and it leaves it quite sticky, so that means it'll just sit in place where I put it until I iron it, and then it really stays in place. So this is just a tree that's layered up in little segments, so it just overlaps each time. Again, just keeping a little bit of an eye on things sitting fairly straight and even in the middle. You could finger press them all in the centre if you wanted to. And then this little one here, and then just the little top one. And I'm a touch high, so I'm going to start all of that again. And I'm going to bring my trunk down a bit. And this happens sometimes, you have to move things around a little bit sometimes, and that's okay. Probably going to sit together, so that's even better. That one can come just there a little bit. We're losing 1/4 of an inch all the way around, so that's why that was not sitting down far enough, because I was over the top there. So I think that's looking pretty good now. I don't really want it to move again, so I'm going to iron it in place, ready for the stitching. It's been fun making the forest. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. I hope your forest is growing as well as mine is. So I've got that all ironed on, and because I'm free motion stitching I need some sort of a stabilizer, and I like to use this lightweight cotton batting. I'm using a white background, so I have to be really careful I don't get other coloured threads in between there. And then I just like to iron it in place because it just grips. It's not fusible, but it grips quite nicely to that cotton batting, so it'll just sit well while I do the stitching. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine now, and I'm going to free motion stitch. Now this one I think I'm going to have to do in segments because it doesn't easily match up for me to do everything all in one go, because I usually like to do it all in one go. However, I can probably, if I start here, I can probably do the top one and then do the next one before I have to start again. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start right here, close to where I can go on to the next colour when I come back here. So I'm just free motion stitching. I've dropped my feed teeth, I've got a free motion foot on the machine. I've just got a regular sewing needle in, I've got regular 50 weight cotton thread in. So now I'm back to where I started, and I'm in a really good spot to skip onto that next colour. Let's get that thread out of the way. So I can just skip onto there and just keep sewing. The thread's caught itself in the foot, so I'll just trim that out of the way. Because I'm working on something small, I can turn it, which makes it nice and easy. And I'm just going to double stitch that just there, and then I can finish that bit off. But now I can start again on this next one, just here, and stitch around there. So I'll come back to you when I'm just about at the end. So I'm on the lower segment now, which is the last segment. So I can do the tree trunk in there as well. I'll be a bit sorry to see my forest all finished, I think. So I'm just going to come past the trunk and then onto the trunk. Around that, and then when I get back up here onto the tree, I'm just going to double over that little bit of stitching across the trunk there, and then continue on round. And we're back up to that segment, so we've done all the stitching now. So that was it for the tree number 20. That's our final tree in this series. So our forest must now be complete. I think that's come up really well. I'm really pleased with all these trees. We've got a hedge, we've got a bird living in the forest, we've got oranges and apples if we get a little peckish. We've got some tulips hanging, we've got some other flowers. Really, we've just about got everything you could possibly want in a forest. It doesn't need watering, it doesn't make a mess, there's no nasty creepy crawlies. I've had a lot of fun doing my tree forest. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Thank you. That was the end for this series of the 2020. There's more to come, so please do have a look on GourmetQuilter.com and see what else we're up to for the rest of the year. Thank you.